So, Aaron, one of the common themes that we talk about in a lot of these episodes is making this big move to a big city, and particularly LA. Do you have a sort of process, or let's hear about like your preparation for making just a big move or a big change, like in your life?
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think that move, is huge for anyone who makes it because it's, for all of us coming out here, it's such a commitment to not even just the move, but to, I think, putting yourself out there and like investing in your success, putting yourself in a position, in a place, where you can, thrive and succeed in what you want to do and following your passion. So I think it's a risk for anyone to take. But I mean, for me, I would say I've been lucky enough to kind of gradually come out. I've been coming out, a week every month to work on projects and go back and forth. I'm definitely looking forward to making that full-time switch. But yeah, there's a lot of thought preparation going into it. Obviously, we had stuff going on already. I didn't kind of come in here completely cold. That's definitely maybe a little bit more overwhelming for someone who doesn't already know some people or, have some connections or is coming in specifically for a job, for a project. So for me, like making that full-time change is really just about, really committing to what I want next with my career, with my life, making this transition into trying to do full-time work in the film industry with video, building this project. So honestly, like as much as it's, betting on yourself and it is a risk and it can be scary, it is the only, it was the only decision for me.
Yeah. And for me, I know that I did a lot of overthinking, like before, like coming out here. I made the decision like relatively quickly, but since I gave myself such a short amount of time, it was about, I just got off the ship. I gave myself 2 weeks before I moved out here.
There was no like overthinking it.
Well, I would say that I did all of that
prior.
All of that like thinking or that like building that anxiety in that 2 weeks. But maybe giving myself a timeline did help, and buying myself like the ticket, having a couple of friends out here. But one thing I took for granted was like the importance of like building relationships. And like when I got here again, I tried to like do everything on my own. So I would have appreciated like a lot more preparation or like asking of questions. That's what I would
from people who have been through it before.
Yeah, that's the advice I would give my my younger self.
Sure.
That piece is so important, and I think that's what's driven like my career, and it's what's given me like the most reward for sure.
Yeah, and that networking process can be also, I think, overwhelming for people who aren't necessarily used to doing that.
Yeah.
Or used to working and collaborating with people in that way.
And our next guest has traveled halfway around the world to pursue her dreams and her interests.
I think for anybody who's coming here, LA, I believe, is like a place where you can be whatever you want to be, but you have to not lose yourself in that process.
All right, our guest today is singer, songwriter, and music artist Ladders. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being on the podcast with us.
Yes, I'm excited.
Yeah. We want to get right into it. How did you start your musical journey?
It started, I mean, honestly, I don't remember, but it was, my mom also is a musician, so I was very young when she enrolled me into Indian classical singing.
Okay.
And 3 years into that, I was oh, I don't know if I can do this anymore. And then I sort of switched to contemporary, Western stuff like that. So yeah, I was maybe second grade.
Oh,
grade.
wow.
And I was singing since I was very young, but training since maybe third grade.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's early for classical music.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
I would fall asleep in my classes because, I didn't understand it. I was too young. Now I'm always yeah, I would be
now
very,
you have
very
an
beneficial.
appreciation for it. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say I always heard classical music growing up, but it wasn't until I went to university where I like really dove into it, and that was like the main focus as a performance arts major was like classical first, and that sort of like built the structure, and then we got more into like the jazz, which is what I wanted to go to school for. But the classical stuff is tough.
Yeah.
I mean, not only like technically, but like to have an ear for that and to like play with like such like precision. I know like jazz music, you can play a wrong note or
You can hide
Still
it.
flies
yeah,
with
and
it.
it's still it's expression. There's an excuse, I guess, to like kind
It was a
of
choice.
yeah, like, oh, I meant to do that
Yeah.
kind of. But not with classical. Like you have to know the piece and like it's got to be
And
performed.
everybody knows it.
Yeah, everyone knows it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So like growing up, you said your mom was a musician. Who did she introduce you to, or like who were some of your other like music influences?
I mean, when I was that young, like the kind of music I would consume at that time were either like bhajans, that's like Indian hymns,
Okay.
or like, religious music. And that's what like mostly the classical music also has. Like the Indian classical music has a lot of like hymns and like all of that stuff. So a lot of religious music. And at the same time, there was like Bollywood. So it's like two
Very
extremes.
upbeat.
Yeah. So that was like the kind of music that I sort of like grew up listening to. And that's what my mom used to sing a lot of like 80s Bollywood music, which is comparatively more like lyrically heavy and sort of like very, very melodious kind of
Okay.
stuff. Like now it's more like party music and things like that. And it used to be like the lyrics from like those times and like Bollywood music is just so like just the other day I was like, I have so much appreciation for like the way that they wrote even if it's just about like writing about love or whatever, it's still like so well written.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of the stuff that we probably recognize here is more like the big like wedding party songs and stuff. That's the
Yeah.
stuff we probably most familiar with, I would say.
Mhm.
But there's so much other stuff as well, right?
Right. Yeah, definitely like the Punjabi music is I think like more like global in terms of, like Indian music. But yeah, like old Bollywood music is real. Yeah, it's it's really well written.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, tell us a little bit how you have like infused like music from there and like the stuff that you're into now, like the R&B and the hip hop.
Because you didn't grow up in Los Angeles, correct?
Right. Yeah, I grew up like right outside of Mumbai. So I was away from all the chatter, but still like close enough to access everything. But I think I always like, I hate like putting myself in like genres. So I can't like, I can never create, like if you listen to my music, except like the new like Bollywood stuff, it's very hard for me to like put myself in like a genre. Like I just like combine a bunch of like cool sounds and like put it together. So like recently what we've been trying to do with like the Hindi songs that we're releasing is sort of like keep like a more modern kind of production, like maybe like a little more LA kind of production, but also infuse like Hindi lyrics in there, or like the kind of melodies or the kind of repetition that they use to like make the song hooky now, I guess. But
Okay.
and I love to like play with native instruments, just sort of putting the tabla in there time to time. Like
What is the tabla? I'm not familiar with that one.
tabla is like the percussion instrument, so it's just like dum, tick, dum, dum, tick, like that
Yeah,
sound.
yeah.
Like yeah, so that's like the tabla sound. It's like the most common like percussive instrument used in any music. So yeah, so we just like my song Dead Rose, that was like my second release, that song has like a tabla kind of sound. It's like toms and tabla together, like just to like mess around with, So like my producer, shout out to Mr. Amar Roy, like we both sort of connect on that. He's also from India, so we sort of like have that, I don't know, I think we just sort of align in that realm of like ambiguity when it comes to sound. So we just try to like pull music, like world music instruments into like our music.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I like to mess around with that.
Is it primarily like percussive instruments that you like lean towards, or have you like played like wind instruments before?
I have not. I have tried. I'm learning. I mean, not a wind instrument, but like I'm learning how to play the saxophone right now.
Oh.
But-
That's me.
Saxophonist,
Oh, amazing. Yeah, please.
semi-former saxophonist.
Amazing. Yes, please. Tips and tricks. Like
Sure, yeah.
But for my producer that I work with, like percussion is like his like passion. So he sort of is like very much in like using a lot of percussion and different kinds of percussion. For me, I'm more of like a melodic person. Like I'm more like I like to mess around like mellotron or like things like that. Just like flute and mellotron. Like how can we I know like mess around with things like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm more like maybe like lute and like things like that.
I've heard of the lute.
Yeah.
Just like
Yeah.
I want to make it sound a little Arabic.
That's cool.
Well, you say that you like your ear goes towards like the melody a little bit. Do you find that that's kind of like what you listen for when you hear new music?
Absolutely, yeah. That's the first thing that I get attracted to. I also feel like because again seeding from like the Indian classical, because it's so like there's no harmony in Indian classical music, so it's all like percussion and melody. There is no concept of harmony there. So I think because I started there, that's what something that I still look for.
Go back to.
Yeah, like yeah, and I'm fairly good at writing melodies as opposed to like anything else. I think like I naturally bring out like I can just hear shit and then it's
Yeah.
fun.
What does your writing process look like when you're putting something together?
I think it just depends on the song,
Yeah.
but it's very different with every song. But again, usually I would start with either like a bass line, like either a bass line or like a melody, or even like if I like to write poetry, so like sometimes I just turn that into like lyrics and use it. So maybe like a poetry would like bring like, oh yeah, this could be a song, so I just try to put a melody to that. But usually it's like it's a melodic line that sort of gets me into the process of like really
Yeah.
getting into writing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
bass
Cool.
is something that I lean towards too. Like when writing a song, like that's often like the first kind of instrument that I can hear, and obviously like drums and rhythm, like the melody like comes a lot later. Even though I play the saxophone, harmony is tough for me, of course. But yeah, I can relate to hearing like the bass first. That's something that I kind of like lean towards for my songwriting too.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
feel that.
What does your family think of your music? Kind of blending a little bit of, the traditional stuff that you know from home, and the, maybe some of the new sounds and things that you hear here.
So my family's not like extremely crazy about like the English stuff that I write, because again it's
Because you're working
not-
in both languages.
yeah.
Yeah.
So like recently I released a Hindi song that's called Dhua, and that is something that they just loved. Like they're just like, see, we told you can write in Hindi, like come on, and like things like that. So they're like very excited about that stuff. But when it comes to like my indie alt-Z kind of stuff, they're like, what is this? Like I don't get it. So it's also that, yeah, because I feel like it's also very lyrics heavy, like because it's like a lot about the words that I write. Yeah, so like I guess if you're not like listening for that, then my music wouldn't make too much sense to you.
Yeah.
Is there one that you lean towards more than the other?
I don't want to say, but I do think, yeah, I'm more of like a words person.
Okay.
So
Well, you said you write poetry
yeah,
as well. Yep.
so I kind of like, yeah, I really look for like nice lyrics in the music that I listen to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a project when I was in school to compose music based on poetry. So we had to take an already written poem and translate it into melody, into harmony. And that was one of my favorite like projects. We took like the whole year to do it. At the end of the year, we went out to New York and we performed at a venue. So like we wrote for like a 9-piece like ensemble, and I know that process was really like rewarding because like studying like someone else's words and trying to translate it into music, it was tough, but it was cool. Like it got you thinking about like how they wrote it, like the emotions behind it and stuff. So I kind of want to hear from you when you write a piece of poetry, like how is that translating that into something musical?
I think what helps me, like you said, like it helps you like think out, I guess, like outside of what you would normally do. Like if I'm starting with a poem that I've written, it's more like now I have to put those words into my sound. So how would I make that? And I think it also makes it a lot more visual, because I can like, okay, like when like you're writing poetry or like reading a piece of poetry, I think like you have more imagery there and like things like that. So it's easier and also sort of like helps you think outside the box in terms of like putting that sound to those words, as opposed to like usually like how you would do like the other way around. So yeah, I think try to connect that. Sometimes it's just like outright like, oh, I don't know if it's like the word car there, so I'm just gonna put like some tires screech, you know.
Right, yeah.
And I think like that helps the listener also like visualize like songs better. Again, like I'll just put a melody to that line first and then see where that takes me, I guess. Yeah.
So you try to paint like a picture for someone to like see like through your music.
Yeah. I think that's one of my biggest things that I try to do is like make it more visual, because I'm like a very visual person. I like to paint and like sketch and things like that. So, and every like even the songs that I listen to, like again, I don't have like synesthesia or anything. It's not like I see colors, but I can make colors up in my mind when I'm there, and it's always like, yeah, like I always imagine any song that I write. I'm always imagining like, oh, like this would be like, oh, this is what you see, like, or I try to create that in somewhere.
Cool. Well, I was gonna ask about drawing and sketching. You know, you say you like to do those things. Like, do you incorporate that into some of your like music creation process?
I try. Honestly, like I've been very on and off with that stuff. I feel like I'm never too impressed with putting those things together, so I never really like put them out like that.
Yeah.
But I'll definitely like if I've written a song, sometimes like I sketch out that song in whatever way I think. Like I love to use charcoal and things like that. So it's just like
almost like storyboarding.
yeah, exactly. And then I can just then translate that like digitally, but I wouldn't take that into digital. I haven't done it yet. Maybe I would at some point. But
so you have these interests in visual arts and sketching, drawing, and poetry, which I think is something that's not very common. I mean, I've written a few poems for in school and things, but it's not something I've done a lot of. Is there like a certain a poem or an artist that kind of sparked your interest in doing like written word and sketching, or was that just kind of part of your upbringing, the arts in general?
I think it was just a part of my upbringing for sure. My mom also paints, and then so that's how like I think she always like pushed me to do whatever you want, like enroll me in so many classes and things like that. So I have like a little bit of training. Again, I did not like persistent like do it like for a long time, like train for a long time, but I always like kept that because I feel like art is the only thing that I like to do, like in general. I do believe like everything is art, and I try to approach everything like that, even if it's like business, whatever it is, just like sort of a way of expressing yourself. But like typically like whatever we consider like visual arts, poetry, music, whatever it is, like everything to me is like that's all I want to do, and that's like the only thing I can do. So I just want to keep doing that. Yeah, like, and I feel like my mom sort of is definitely like the one who always pushed me to like whenever like I'm sad or something, my mom will just be like, you just paint, or like if you feel too overwhelmed with music, is like there's a pressure like, oh, like this is your career and like things like that. If you feel like that's what's, but then you do other things, so just do that.
Use a different creative outlet.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, she really like helps me like that. She always has. Yeah.
And I think when you have that point of view of treating everything as like an art, then nothing ever really like feels like work, right?
Yeah.
Like that's really cool.
Yeah, but then at the same time, like humanity.
Yeah, sure.
You just like start thinking, oh, like, oh, you have to do this, and it's like stressful. Like, oh, like make a release plan, like everything. So like that, like Excel is not art. And things are like
Sure.
Creating spreadsheets.
but yeah, no, I like in general, try to approach things like that as much as I can, for sure. Yeah.
Well, I want to ask because I know for myself, I was a pretty, shy, quiet kid for the most part growing up, and I'm still not, a super loud, outgoing in my everyday life. And I know a lot of performers you meet, they're very like, introspective, quiet, but they get on stage and, they're a different person because their art, whether it's singing, drawing, that's kind of their kind of tool to communicate almost. Do you feel like you have that experience where to share and to kind of be yourself that comes out through your art?
Yes, absolutely. I feel like, and I think that's the whole reason that I created Ladders, is sort of like to put myself as Vrinda out of that equation. Because like you said, like same, like I'm very shy. Like when I meet someone, like I'm just like, yeah, you probably think I'm stupid. I don't have anything to say, but it's just like I just like, it's hard for me to like even like initiate conversations or things like that. And like you have to network and things like that. And like I've been to a lot of music schools, and the one thing they always talk about is, like you have to network. The whole point, it's like, I just don't know how to like talk to people, like initiate conversations. And then that's where like I think Ladders came in for me, where it was like she does that, she can do it, and like I can separate Vrinda from her, and then I can still be me in my little bubble on the side. But when I'm on stage, I have a different energy, and I just imagine myself as somebody else. Like this is not Vrinda. Like this is
Almost
that.
like giving yourself permission.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like you're allowed. You say like, because it's very easy to like get in your head and be like, oh, like everybody's watching me, like, and things like that. And if like that little kid. But the funny thing I think also is like, as a child, I was not like this. As a child, I was like very outgoing. Like my parents still think I'm like, oh, I have like so many friends and like all of those things. Like whenever I go back, they're like, why are you sad? Like you have so many people. Like you can easily make friends and all that. I'm like, no, it's not like that anymore. like they know the part of me when I was like maybe like in India. Like I moved here when I was 18.
Okay.
So yeah, maybe I was like that when I was like back home, but yeah, like in 5 years, like so much has changed.
Was it going to music school that inspired you to come out here?
Yes, I mean that was my only way, I think, to get here, in terms of like getting here that early, like at 18. But I always wanted to be like stereotypically a pop star. So like when I was just like in the 7th grade, I was like, there's nothing better than coming home and singing. So I just want to do that all the time. So I might as well do this forever, And then how can I make that happen? And my parents were like, yeah, you should, if you want to do this, you have to study it. Like we don't, like, if you know and I feel like so sure about it, like literally, like I've been like formally training in music since like 9th grade, like Western music since like 9th grade. And like a year before that, I was like still doing like theory and stuff. So it was just like, and I hate that stuff now. Like just like, I'm still going to music school. I'm so done with the educational aspect in terms of like in like a system situation. Like I still believe in education, but it's just like just in that class situation. Yeah, that is just
like just the structure of it.
Yeah. I feel like it's time for change for me.
It's time for Ladders.
Yeah, it's time for Ladders.
Yeah, once you develop that structure, then you can kind of like stem from it. Like as long as you know like the rules, you can like bend them a little bit.
Yeah.
I know for me, when I went to music school, I had no prior knowledge of music theory before college. So before I was 18. And to get into music school, of course, you had to be a good performer, but you also had to pass like the written exams, and I definitely failed those like a couple times. Yeah, no, it took a while to get that, and I know a lot of other kids, they had went to like a school before, they had gotten like some education on that, and it was like really easy for them, and I didn't know why. Like I always had like good grades in school, like, but then that was a whole nother language for me. So like, yeah, I get it. The theory piece is like a little difficult to like, you know, wrap your mind around. But like, I mean, you said that you learned that at what age were you?
I started learning like music theory in the 8th grade, and then I did IGCSE music, and then I had IB music. So all of these things were like in the 9th grade. I was like studying Vivaldi. I had no idea who Vivaldi was before that, because like nobody talks about that stuff in India, right? So it's like, okay, like there's like, I have like these scores and that I have to analyze, and I don't know shit. Like I don't know anything. So
What's your favorite season?
I mean, spring, because that's what I
Spring.
analyzed. but yeah, so it was crazy, man. It was like so much information to process, and yeah, so, and then we studied Bach, and this is all I'm doing that like when I'm like 15, 16. So it was just, that's why like now I'm just like, no. I don't want to do that anymore.
I didn't study in music, but even just with skating, because I was a figure skater.
Ooh.
And you know, you're learning, all you want to do is like jump and do tricks. You know, you don't want to, but you have to do like an hour of just like edge work and, you know, little tedious kind of skill stuff that, you know, as a kid it's boring, but you know, you're grateful to have done as you go on, and like, because you need those skills, and that's what kind of creates the whole package, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I can figure out 4-part writing now. Like I didn't have to like for me, like now harmony classes or anything, like that's all easy stuff. Like I hate it, but it's still easy. Like, because it's just overdone. Like I've just overdone that stuff for me. Like
so you don't even have to think about it anymore.
like so it's just like, but again, like I think the biggest like challenge I faced at that time was like I had so much like theoretical information, but it was very hard for me to translate that into my music, and it took so long. Like even now, like I have like one part is like this, but like the other part is like still here, because to bring all that into actual like your work, like that's what I did not do when I was like young, because I didn't understand that well, or like how I could actually implement that stuff in my music. So like now, like slowly I'm trying to like, okay, like I have this information, but how do I actually make that? And I feel like that's what we need in like music schools. Like there has to be like a class or something that help like actually does that, or like teaches you how you would actually take that, even if it's classical music and you're learning classical music or like 4-part writing, how do you actually put that into your own music? And like that's one way to make it more interesting, I guess, like, you know. So yeah, I think
because it's not just about having like the ear for it. Like you also, you know, it's important to know like the outline too, so that you can, like you said, apply it to other things. Well, I want to go back. I know you talked about why you use a stage name, Ladders, but where did it originate from?
When I was 16, I got a very like impulsive tattoo, like just ladders. At that time, I didn't even call this ladders. I just called it like, because I was someone who would like easily give up, and like just, if I can't do it, I won't do it. And then I like sort of like told myself like, you know, no, you have to keep climbing and, you know, never give up, like keep climbing. And that's why I got that tattoo, because I was just like done with myself. Just like, come
just
on,
as a
like,
reminder
yeah, like every time I look in the mirror, like, yeah, like you gotta, you know, take that one step forward every time. So that's why I got that tattoo. And also like as a child, for some reason I could never spell climbing. I would always leave the B out, and I was just like, yeah, you're climbing, it's just climbing. So that, I don't know, like that just stuck out to me when I was young. I was like, why can't I spell this word? And yeah, that's why I got the ladders climbing tattoo. And then at 18, I think, when I moved here and like finally had some time with myself, not at home and like not with like everybody I know, just like alone. I spent a lot of time with myself. I was like, how would I separate myself and what is something that's really cool on my body? And I was like, okay, ladder's tattoo. Like, let's go.
Nice.
Well, I mean, you came here at quite a young age.
Yeah.
What are some of those obstacles that you've had to deal with? For people who are maybe coming, a lot of us are coming in here from other places.
Yeah.
So what are some of those obstacles that you've dealt with? How have you dealt with them? And what kind of advice would you give people who are just maybe coming here for the first time?
Food. If you're not from America, I guess, like in general, I'm vegetarian.
Okay.
So, and India literally has like the best vegetarian food. So when I got to LA, they were like, oh, it still has like vegan food and all that. But I'm like, no, it's nothing close to the food. So out of desperation, I started cooking. And I realized, oh, like, yeah, I can cook. That's nice. Like, that's a new skill. Like, I learned how to cook and everything. That's one thing. I think for anybody who's coming here, LA, I believe, is like a place where you can be whatever you want to be, but you have to not lose yourself in that process. Because I know there's so much to explore, but it's also very easy to get lost in that space. And I did, like, I was sort of like, oh, I want to do this. Like, before I got here, I was like, I know exactly what I want to do. I come here, I'm like, okay, I want to do too many things. So it's just like, it's good to build habits for yourself that keep you in check and like in line of what you want to do. So I think, and also like be ready for the culture shock. Like if you're not from like around, if you come from any like eastern parts of the world, like, because I never thought I would feel like this, because it's like, oh, I'm pretty westernized, like I listen to English music and watch movies, like Hollywood movies. I'm gonna be okay. No, it wasn't like that. I moved to Boston first. I went to Berklee College of Music for like a semester, and I could not take the weather. Like I was sick all the time because I'm from Mumbai, so it's like hot. And then I'm like in Boston, it's like snowing.
Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah, well, we're coming out from Michigan, so
Yeah, the Midwest is cold. We know the cold.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons why I came out here too.
Yeah, like I visited LA for one weekend. I was like, bye Boston.
Yeah.
I don't want to be anymore. What am I doing there? So yeah, culture shock is real. Food. I think everybody has to figure out how to cook at some point, because it's hard to. I'm surprised by the food culture in LA, honestly, because I'm not a fan. Yeah, I expected better.
Yeah.
But
That's funny because like where I'm from, like this is like
like a lot
so much better,
more diverse.
We just didn't have like a lot of like different kinds of things, and so like here I've been introduced to Thai food, to Indian food, to Korean barbecue, just like all sorts of stuff, and that wasn't like. And now I don't even know if I've ever had like authentic like Indian food. I don't know. But
on the ship.
Oh yeah,
for sure.
Yeah. Okay, on the ship, yeah.
we used to work on cruise ships,
ooh, nice.
performing, and
yeah.
there usually is a lot good Indian dishes on board.
Nice, I'm jealous.
Yeah,
A lot of the ships were from the Philippines too.
Yeah,
really good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, my I could be biased because also like I'm vegetarian, so I'm like always pissed off
Same.
at the food. Oh,
Yeah.
Okay. Then I'm surprised.
Well, I mean, the Midwest is what, like Applebee's.
Yeah, there's no vegetarian options anywhere.
Red
over
Lobster,
there.
because you want to get seafood in a landlocked state.
Yeah.
I'll cook for you guys at some point. Like,
All right.
that'll be,
I'll take-
I'll make some authentic Indian food for you.
That'd be amazing. Well, I like what you said about kind of, coming in and trying to stay true to your path. That's something we've talked about, quite a bit. There's a lot of opportunities for artists, but sometimes you do have to kind of, put the blinders on a little bit and pick and choose which ones are right for you and what you actually are trying to get out and, move towards. So I think that's definitely something.
And it's always an explorative journey. Like it's not like, oh, there's one way to do something. It's like, no, like you do what you want. It's just keep your head in the game. Like, you like, if you've moved, like, for someone like me, like, if I've moved like halfway across the world for something, I mean, I'm just saying that because I've wasted a lot of time here, and I know, like, coming out of it, like, I've realized that, yeah, like, you got to stay on top of that. Like, try not to, like, go under and just be like, no, I'm going to take some time for myself. Like, like, take that break, but still stay on top of shit. Like, be in it and not out of it.
Yeah, that habit, that discipline.
Yeah.
Mhm. And you said it's been 5 years since you've been out here?
Yeah.
Well, how was that? I mean, you came like right before the pandemic, right?
Yeah.
Like, what was that period like for you? And like,
Communicating with your family even back home and things.
It's funny. So I came here in 2018, and then I was in LA in 2019. In March of 2019, I went back to India. 2020. I went back to India, for a 3-month break, because that's like the school thing. So I had like a 3-month break, and I went back home. And right when I was supposed to come back to LA, that's when India locked down.
Okay. So you were there with your family.
Yeah, I mean, it was a bittersweet sweet situation. Like, I'm grateful that I was like at home, safe and everything, but I hadn't been home in like 9 months, so it was like a little hard for me to like, okay, like, oh, I have roots here, like,
Right, right.
things like that. And my family moved from Mumbai to Delhi when I was like after I moved here, so I was in a different city. At home, but in a different city, so like I couldn't meet my friends or anything. So I was just a little like, yeah, I felt a little like, ugh. But because I hate Delhi, I don't like that city. Like, coming from Mumbai, it's like, for me, like, it's just like going from Boston to LA. Like,
Is it
it's gonna feel
is it kind of like here, like it's like a sports team thing? You're like, I hate the Red Sox. You know?
Yeah, I mean, that's the kind of rivalry between like Delhi and Bombay.
Okay.
Because like they're two like very different and powerful cities at the same time. So like very different cultures, like pros and cons. But Mumbai is a better city, like, anytime. So yeah, so it was just it was like a whole I was getting used to it, but yeah, it was nice to be at home again, for that long, spend time with my family, my dog. And then I came back here. I was like, I felt like I was just like running out of like prison or something.
Ready to
like,
go.
Yeah, I was like, I'm ready, man. Like I was there like a few months ago, and it's just like, like I'm here for 2 months, but yeah, like, I gotta, because I feel like I've gotten more comfortable in this city and just sort of like the space that I have here.
yeah.
But I'm like constantly conflicted. Like, I live in that space where I'm like, I want to be home, but I want to be here. But I want to be home, I want to be here. And it's not like a 2-hour flight. It's like a 24-hour flight. So it's like, I don't know. I gotta like make those quick getaways back home. But yeah, my life is a conflict. Like, I just live in that space. Like, even like Ladders is all about like contradiction and change and things like.
So you use it.
Yeah, that's my greatest inspiration. Like, it's just longing in any sense.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, tell us about your experience. You're in school right now, right? Do you get a lot of chances to like perform and things with other?
Yes, I like it's fun. We have something called the live performance workshop, as I was telling you earlier. It's like every week you have like. So they have like different days with like different genres and different songs. So you just sort of pick whatever song, whatever genre, or like anything. And it's just like on the spot ensemble. So you just learn your part and perform on stage. So that's nice. It's always interesting what happens there.
Different band every time?
Big like collaboration process.
Yeah, like
Okay.
random people. Like,
All right.
Any like there's a guitar student, there's a drum student. Like, if you signed up in the same, or it could be different. You could have signed up in a different slot, but this one's available. This one, like, it's just random. Like,
Yeah.
you just pick anyone and anyone to go. So and then you're like on stage. So it's a lot of fun because there's a lot of interaction. I think, like I said, like I'm shy. I don't go and talk to people in school. but because I'm like on stage, it's like, you sounded good. Oh, that's one way to have a conversation. Like, oh yeah, like now you can actually like meet people. I think so. That's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. We had an experience in school where you could sign up with a band or a group and then play at a venue like downtown where the school was, and but that one you had to be like a lot more prepared for. Like you had to perform in front of the professor at least like once, and like write your own songs and get your band together. But your experience sounds cool because it sounds like you get to play with a lot of different people, and you have to learn quick.
Yeah.
Right? You have to learn the part. How long do you have?
You can sign up to a week before. So,
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
You have to learn that part in a week, and then you're just thrown in with a new. Yeah, that's a cool experience.
Yeah, and then like this other class that I have this semester, it's called Artist Development the Show. So the entire like you spend 9 weeks on developing your, like I'm going there as ladders, and then I have to develop like 3 of my songs, like get a band, and then we're working on like stage presence, everything and all that. And the end of the class or like the exam is a live performance show, and they have like music executives there, and like they call people for that show, and then there's like a prize and everything. So
it's it's kind of like almost like your final project is kind of all geared towards
like
this performance, your show.
Exactly. And that's what I wanted to do since I came to MI. That was like the one class I wanted to take, and I can finally take it this quarter. So
awesome. Cool.
Is it open to the public?
Yes, absolutely, yeah.
Awesome. Well, when is it, first of all, and where can everybody kind of hear what you're working on and what you have coming up and things?
So I have my Instagram. I'm Waves and Ladders on Instagram. I also like play shows in LA. So like I spent like 6 months last year like just doing shows every month and like playing my unreleased music. But there's like a lot of stuff. But you can find everything on my Instagram and my Spotify. And if you want to come for the show, it's in December. I don't have the date yet, but I'll keep you updated.
We'll keep an eye out for it on the social media.
Cool, yeah.
Updated for sure.
Did you have a sample you wanted to share, like a little bit of something we could hear?
Yeah. It's like an introduction to ladders. It's called What I Write About. And yeah, it's just like what I write about.
Cool. All right, let's hear it.
How many of your greatest possessions have you lost that you don't even know of? You're a prisoner of your mind, just like I am of mine. So why do you act like you're better than me? I'm numbing my complexities just to devour your simplicity. A mask without a face, conflict, contradiction, and change. I'm self-aware, but unaware, looking at the strands of my pink-colored hair, wondering if you might just care what I write about. It's always there. And that's why sometimes I feel free. This is my hiding place, and you're here. Now you wanna be my friend, but you can't if you know me too well.
Oh, cool.
Was that the tabla? The
kind of.
Okay.
It wasn't quite. Yeah.
Okay.
No,
I'm
cool.
learning. I'm expanding my music horizon.
Oh, I love that. It's a vibe.
Thank you. That's kind of dark. It's hard to keep like my dark personality like outside of the realm.
Oh, I love a good dark story.
Yeah, but I felt it. It was emotional. It felt like close to you. So
Thank you.
that's awesome. So ladders, what is like what's like an important aspect that you try to bring into like your songwriting process?
I think not just something that I like to talk about in my music is, like I just showed you, like conflict, contradiction, and change. and all of those aspects like combined, or even like a step before that, is sort of like the intention of why you do what you do, and like nothing else matters. Like I think over that, nothing matters more than why you do what you do, I think. There's something I wrote that I'd like to share,
Okay.
if you don't mind.
No,
yeah,
yeah.
we'd love to hear.
Just read something for you. We all make versions of truth for ourselves in our mind where we write that we had our reasons. Empathy, compassion, and maturity lies in letting go of that inhibition to truly understand what lies on the other side without making yourself the protagonist, to listen and understand intention. Because does anything else even matter?
Oh.
Beautiful.
Awesome.
Is that like your mantra? You say that one to you say that a lot to yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I
Yeah.
read it very
Yeah.
often. Yeah, I wrote this when I was like 19, and just like feeling very heavy about a lot of like crazy things that were
It's
happening
deep.
to me.
It's deep.
So it's just like, every time that I'm in a situation where I feel, I don't know, heavy in whatever sense, I try to read this and sort of, and even if I feel like someone's, done me wrong or like some things like that, but like, was it really that, or is that just my experience of it? So, and then I could step outside that self and
Refocus
view,
your
yeah.
intention.
Yeah, like view that from like so many other perspectives, because yeah, like we're all just living from our own perspective, I guess, and then it's not too hard to just take like 2 degrees on this side.
Sure, to
just
try and
like-
understand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, what's something you're working on recently that you're excited about?
Oh, so my next Hindi song is coming next month, and it's called Dil Ne Kaha. It's like a modern Bollywood track, close to like Dhua that just came out last month. And yeah, this is different from the kind of music that I usually make. Again, Dhua and Dil Ne Kaha, like 2 songs that are like happy and that's not that's not really like super like ladders, but again, like, I don't like to define myself. Just like, yeah, I like to do this. So just trying to write in Hindi. It was very interesting and fun. So I hope everybody likes it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. We're excited.
Thank you.
Excited to hear
Yeah,
it.
me too.
Well, Ladders, thank you so much for being on the podcast with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah.
Like, I'm very, very grateful because I've never done this before.
Of course. We're
It
grateful to have
was
you.
a pleasure having you, and we'll be over for dinner.
Yeah, absolutely, yes.